Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi, is the conclusion to the entire Star Wars saga. Now, I'm giving a little spoiler warning, because just like my other reviews, this is a spoiler-heavy video, so if you haven't seen Return of the Jedi, honest to God, where have you been? Go watch it. Otherwise, you have been warned. Now, Return of the Jedi, it takes place sometime after the Empire Strikes Back, and the film opens up with Darth Vader. He's on the ship going up to the new Death Star. It's like, I like the way this Death Star looks. It's like, matter of fact, here, I have a shirt right here, see? See, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. It looks exactly like that. It looks like it's half finished, but it's almost fully operational, nonetheless. But there's still some progress to be made to it. And I just love when Darth Vader, he gets on the ship and he meets with that general. He's like, I'm here to put you back on schedule. The Emperor is mispleased with your lack of progress. And then the general's like, but sir, he asked the impossible. Then perhaps I can find new ways to motivate them. And maybe you can tell him yourself when he arrives. He's coming here. That is correct. We shall double our efforts. And then Darth Vader's like, I hope so for your sake, General. The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. Now, I just love that little tease right there, because the past couple of movies, they've been kind of teasing and alluding to the Emperor, because the Emperor, he had a mention in A New Hope, and then we saw him briefly, and then the Empire Strikes Back. But then we finally get to see the Emperor, and it's just this mystery, like, what kind of person is the Emperor? Like, we don't know who he is. Now, of course, if you add the prequels, we all know who he is, and so it's been like pretty much a 2-movie mark since we've seen the last time we saw the Emperor. But hey, nonetheless. But then we cut to Tatooine, because, you know, before we have to go check out the Empire and all that, Luke and company, they have to bring back their buddy, Han Solo, who is still frozen in carbonite under Jabba the Hutt. Now, I love, because this right here is a little callback to the first movie, which is like, we open up the film with the droids, C-3PO and R2-D2. They go into Jabba's palace, and then we finally meet Jabba the Hutt for the first time. And I say Jabba the Hutt for the first time because he was not in A New Hope, he just wasn't. But this is the first time we see Jabba the Hutt. And we see him, and he's just this big, sluggish, lazy-ass creature that just eats all day. And I remember I had his toy when I was younger, and honestly, I think the look of Jabba the Hutt and the way it was all practical, and they had a whole bunch of people controlling him, that still holds up, and it looks believable than that CGI bullshit we had in A New Hope and in the prequels. So the droids, they come looking for Han Solo, and then Jabba the Hutt is like, oh, I like Jabba the Hutt. He's speaking Huttish, but pretty much it's translation for, I like Solo where he is. And then C-3PO is like, look, why'd you look? It's Han Solo, and he's still frozen in carbonite. In case you forgot. So anyway, so R2-D2, he sends a transmission to Jabba the Hutt that's by Luke Skywalker, and he tells him, here, I offer these droids as our gratitude. Please give us back Han Solo or whatever. And then Jabba's not having it, so he puts the droids pretty much as their slaves or servants. And then we get more of the Jabba the Hutt segment. I absolutely love this segment, because it's like, not only Darth Vader and the Emperor is the main villains of this movie, but we also get this side villain that we have to get through the verse. Now let's go into one of the changes in Return of the Jedi that Luke has made to the special editions, which is the Max and Rebo band. Now, if you all remember, it was like some 80s music that apparently everyone loves, but then Lucas, for the special editions, he changed it to some more generic 80s music, which, alright, to be fair, I know most people hate this version, but I actually like it. The reason why is because, again, as I told you before, the 1997 special editions were pretty much my introduction to Star Wars. So the special edition Max and Rebo band music is what I'm used to, and I'm not used to the old music from the original theatrical cut. But you know, the Max and Rebo band, you get those creatures talking about Allah, ooh, lee, hey. You don't understand a word she's saying, and then Boba Fett, he's just flirting with the other women there. But then Jabba the Hutt is displeased with one of the women slaves, and so he hits the button and they go down, and then we see her and she's about to get eaten by this rancor. We don't know what it is at this point, but then we just hear the screams and everyone is just laughing and screaming in agony and in awe and laughing. And then next thing you know, we hear this bounty hunter. It comes in with Chewbacca. The Chewbacca is in prison, but luckily what we don't know is that the bounty hunter, it goes in, and then he goes to Han Solo still frozen in carbonite, and he releases him from it. And I just like that little part, because, you know, Han Solo, he's all twitching, and he's all confused and whatever. He's like, relax for a moment. You're free from the carbonite. You have hibernation sickness. I can see your eyesight will return in time. Where am I? Jabba's palace. Who are you? And then it takes his helmet off and it's revealed to be Leia. And then she's like, someone who loves you. And then they kiss for a moment and then they try to escape, but the next thing you know, we hear Jabba laughing, and then Han Solo is like, I know that laugh. And then Han Solo, he tries to reason with him, talking about, hey Jabba, I was just on my way to pay you back, but I got sidetracked. It's not my fault. And then Jabba's not having it. Then he takes him into the cell with Jabba the Hutt. So there the victory is short-lived, and then Jabba, he takes Princess Leia and he puts her in the slave Leia outfit, which to that is the inception of the puberty of men over the age of 30. It was not the inception of my puberty. My inception of puberty was Halle Berry and Monsters Ball, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Apparently, all the men love slave Leia outfit. But as I grew older, I kind of appreciate it though. So now we finally get to Luke Skywalker. He comes in, and now I know what you're probably thinking, like, if Leia, as the bounty hunter, had that little thermal detonator, why didn't she just throw that in Jabba's palace and then boom, everyone is dead, and then they can just go in and release Han Solo from the Carbonite? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, how it should have ended. Because we wouldn't get Luke Skywalker coming in as a different person, all quiet and confident. He comes in and he's with those little pork pigs or whatever, and then they block him off, and then he force chokes him briefly, and then he comes into the palace, and then all quiet and confident, talking about he will give Captain Solo and the Wookiee to me. The choice is yours, but I warn you not to underestimate my power. And then Jabba, he knows it's all Jedi mind tricks or whatever. He's not having it. And then Luke Skywalker, he uses the Force to grab a gun and he tries to shoot Jabba the Hutt in the face, but then he ends up falling down to the Rancor. Now, the Rancor segment, it's actually pretty fascinating in the way and the special effects used for it. We see it, and it's just this big, nasty creature that comes in. But long story short, Luke Skywalker, he kills it, and now Jabba, he is mad, and so he orders Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca into the Sarlacc pit. Into the Sarlacc pit as execution, or as most people call it, the asshole in the sand. And then this is another change that Lucas made. He changed it from this little pit in the sand to this little mount thing that resembles a piranha plant from the Super Mario Brothers games. Oh yeah, by the way, in Lando Calrissian, he was also among them too. He was in disguise in Jabba's palace, and so when Luke Skywalker, he pretty much gives everyone the go. He looks at Lando, he nods back, and then he nods at Leia, and then back at C-3PO, and then back at R2, and then Luke Skywalker, he's like, and then R2-D2, he shoots a lightsaber out in the air. Luke Skywalker force jumps and he grabs the lightsaber, and then boom! A green lightsaber. And then he just starts going at it, wailing people. Then he just starts going at it, killing people left and right. And it was just cool seeing Luke Skywalker like that, because he's not the bratty Luke Skywalker we know from the first two movies. He's becoming more of a Jedi now. And he's actually pretty good at it. So Luke Skywalker, he's getting shit done. Princess Leia, she kills Jabba the Hutt by choking him to death. And then, for the part that everyone is pissed at the most, which is Boba Fett dying. So Han Solo, he's still a little blind from the Carbonite, and then Chewie warns him, and then Han Solo, he's holding the stick in his hand, and he's like, Boba Fett, where? The stick accidentally hits Boba Fett's jetpack, and then he goes shooting in the air, and then falls into the Sarlacc pit, and now Boba Fett is dead, presumably. And yes, I know some people say that in the extended lore, well, which really don't count anymore because it's not canon anymore, but some people say that, well, but then again, Boba Fett really is dead then. But beforehand, people said that Boba Fett was still alive in the extended lore, but hey, I don't read those, so Boba Fett, he is dead to me. So now we cut to our first real introduction to the Emperor. The first time we see the Emperor since the prequels, if you count the prequels, but it's our first real introduction to the Emperor. It's just this old, wrinkly old man in a black robe. He's walking around with a stick, and then he's like, I think you want to continue your search for young Skywalker. Patience, my friend. He will come to you, and then you'll bring him before me. Everything is proceeding as planned. He's just this creepy old man. He's a little scary. And the fact that, he's all wrinkled just makes it even more creepy. And not the fact that, Force lightning was shot back at him. I always thought the reason he was just all wrinkly and whatever is because, he was just some thieving old man to which aging, well, didn't apply to him. But nonetheless, we see that the Emperor, he's the real man behind everything, and that he's the one pulling the strings, and he is the puppet master to Darth Vader. So now we cut to Yoda. So Luke Skywalker can continue his training, but it turns out Yoda, he is dying. But beforehand, he confirms to Luke Skywalker that Darth Vader really is his father. And then he also tells him, there is another Skywalker. To which, to the surprise of Luke Skywalker, and then Big Kenobi, he comes in as Force Ghost form, telling him the whole nine about his father, telling him,
your father was seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed. So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop you fucking lying.
And then he tells him you must face Vader again. But then he's hesitant about it or whatever. And then Luke goes on to ask him about the other Skywalker. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, he tells him that it is his twin sister who was revealed to be Princess Leia, to the surprise of Luke Skywalker. And at that point, I'm pretty sure once he figured out that Leia is his sister, the first thing that popped in his head was, so now we have that council meeting with the rebels, and then they find out, alright, we have new plans to the Death Star, and that they figured out how to destroy it. The exhaust port that was only 2 centimeters wide in the first Death Star, well, it turns out they have an even bigger exhaust port. It is what it is. But then they also find out that the Emperor, he is on the Death Star. So it's like the rebels, they're all like, wait, we not only know how to destroy the Death Star, but the one person who's behind everything is on it. Rebels, we need to act now. So they send Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2-D2 to the forest moon of Endor so that they can destroy the generator that is pretty much shooting the Death Star, so that they can go in and destroy the Death Star. So that the rebels can go in and destroy the Death Star, like they did last time. Now, the Forest Moon of Endor scene, it's pretty fascinating. You know, they go in, and then they have to get away from these stormtroopers, and then they're on this speeder battle. And I like the dynamic between Luke and Leia on the speeders. You know, Luke, he's guiding her on how to handle everything. He's like, move closer, stay closer. You stay on him, I'll take these two. But nonetheless, they get separated. Luke Skywalker, he takes care of the other stormtroopers, but then Leia, she tries to take care of the first stormtrooper. So Luke, he regathers with the others, and then they go to find Leia, and then we cut to Leia. She's laying down, and then we meet the one thing. Ooh, moment of silence. The Ewoks. Now look, I don't have nothing against the Ewoks, alright? And I understand some people love the Ewoks because, you know, they're a little cute. I mean, my brother-in-law likes the Ewoks, and he likes Return of the Jedi simply for the Ewoks, which I don't understand, but hey, it is what it is. But I can understand why people like the Ewoks, because the Ewoks, they represent the first time Lucas was like, hey, I'm going to create something, and I'm going to create it not for what's best for the story and the plot of the movie, but for merchandising. You know, so I can make a couple of crappy kids movies after this. You know, kids will like the Ewoks, they'll sell like hotcakes. And if that wasn't a little irritating enough, Lucas had the nerve to have the Ewoks' eyes blink for the special editions. To which I was like, why? This little Ewok creature, he takes Leia back to their tribe. The Ewoks eventually find Luke, Han, and the others, and they take them back to their tribe, about to kill and eat them. But then Leia, she tries to tell them, but these are my friends. 3PO, they must be set free, because the Ewoks, they think 3PO is some sort of god. So 3PO tries to reason with them, and then Luke, he tells them, 3PO, tell them that if they don't let us go, you will become angry and use your magic. Just tell them. And then 3PO, he tells them, and then the Ewoks, they don't really believe it. And then I just like how Luke, he just closes his eyes and uses the Force to lift 3PO up in the chair in the air, and then the Ewoks lose their shit. They are freaking out. And at that point, the Ewoks are like, pretty much, that's just where it's like, okay, we'll let you go, just don't do nothing. And then the irony with Luke Skywalker just being like, thanks 3PO, and then 3PO being like, you're most welcome, I think. And so later on that night, C-3PO, he tells him everything about the Force, and then Darth Vader, the Rebels, and the Empire. And so the Ewoks agree to help them. But then Luke Skywalker, he walks out, Leia walks behind him. Luke starts asking Leia about her mother. She's like, do you remember your mother? Your real mother? And then Leia's like, I remember just fragments. She was kind, but sad. Why are you asking me this? And then I'm pretty sure Luke is just like, oh, you remember that? And even most people, they were like, Leia, how the hell do you remember your mother? What, you remember her for the 2 seconds you were with her? But Luke, he has to go on a side quest to go confront Vader, thinking that he can save him. I could save him. I gotta turn him back, because Vader, he is my father. And he also reveals to Leia that they are brother and sister. And then Leia's like, I think I've known. But at that point, I'm pretty sure Leia was just like, and then I just like the moment where Luke and Vader, they meet for the first time since Empire Strikes Back, and then they just exchanging back and forth. Vader's just like, the Emperor has been expecting you. I know, Father. So, you have accepted the truth. I've accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father. That name no longer has any meaning for me. It is the memory of your It is the meaning of your true self. You've only forgotten. That's why you couldn't bring yourself to kill me. That's why you won't kill me now. I just like that little civil conversation between the two of them. But then Vader, he's not having it. So he tries to tell him, come on, let go of the conflict within you, let go of your hate. And then Vader's like, it is too late for me, son. The Emperor will show you the true nature of the dark side. He is your master now. Then my father is truly dead. So now we finally get to the big climax of the movie, and there are 3 different things going on in this entire climax. So Han, Leia, Chewie, the droids, Chewbacca, and the Ewoks, they're all still on the forest moon of Endor, and they're trying to take out that shield generator that's helping the Death Star. But then it turns into this big battle between the stormtroopers and the Ewoks, to which I really didn't like that, because, and this is another thing that I didn't really like about the Ewoks, because it's like when the Emperor says that a legion of his best men are on the forest moon of Endor, and they get taken out by little ass bears, and I'm just like, that's stupid and unrealistic. I'd rather have them fight Wookiees. And then the other thing that's going on between all this is Lando and the Rebels, they all are in this big space battle to the Death Star, but then they find out that the shield generator has not been shut down yet. And then it's also revealed that the Emperor wanted the Rebels to go in because they are heading into a trap, or as Admiral Akbar said, it's a trap. I do like the Battle of Endor, and I just like this little moment where Leia, she's protecting Han while he's trying to hotwire the door so that they can get in, but then she gets hit in the arm. Han goes to her aid. Han goes to see if she's alright, and then both of them look at each other talking about, I love you. And then Leia says, I know. Call back to Empire Strikes Back. But in any case, they eventually destroyed the shield generator, and then Lando and the Rebels, they're able to go into the Death Star and destroy it. And of course, I like the special effects of the space battle and everything else in this film, because it still holds up just as well as the first 2 movies. But now, jumping back to here, so Vader, he takes Luke Skywalker to the Emperor, and the Emperor, he's just taunting him and taking him to the dark side. And Luke is witnessing, and he's feeling that all is lost and that his friends will not win and that everything will just go to shit. And so Luke, he's starting to feel the conflict, and then, Palpatine, he's just like, take my weapon. I am useless. Strike me down, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete. And so Luke, he grabs his lightsaber, he's about to strike Palpatine, but then Vader blocks him, and then Vader's just like, and then it turns into a big saber, and then it turns into this big epic lightsaber battle between Vader and Luke, and then both of them, they're going at it for a while, but then Luke Skywalker, he's really getting ahead of himself, and then he kicks Vader, and then Vader's like, oh, and then Palpatine, he's just sitting there laughing, talking about, good, use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you. And then Luke and Vader, they're going at it again, fighting for a minute, and then Luke, he jumps in that little bridge or whatever, and then Luke's just like, I will not fight you, Father. I feel the conflict in you. And then Vader's just like, if you will not turn to the dark side, then you will meet your destiny. And then that bridge breaks down, and then Luke Skywalker, he disappears. Vader goes looking for him. Palpatine's just like, good. This is probably my favorite lightsaber battle within the original trilogy, because it's all dark, the tone of the atmosphere, and the conflict between all of them, it just works, and it all came down to this. And then the final moment between the big 2 finishes is when Luke is just, he's up in the dark, but his face is half lit, and then there's dark, and then he's hiding from Vader, and then Vader's just like, come, it is the only way you can save your friends. Your feelings for your friends are strong, especially for sister. So you have a twin sister. Obi-Wan was right to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. And then once he said that, Luke just snaps, and then he's like, never! And then both of them, they're going at it. Luke, he is using all his anger in him, and then, and then he's just letting Vader have it. And then, Vader, he's just like, oh, fuck shit, okay, Luke, I'm sorry, I was just playing, man. But then Luke, he just starts boom, boom, whack, whack, wailing on him, no choreograph or nothing. And I just love the music during that moment. Vader, he's getting weak, and then Luke, he's getting the upper hand, and then he's just like, and then Vader's like, Vader loses his hand, and Luke's like, payback's a bitch. Good. Now kill your father, and then take your father's place on my side. But then, Palpatine, he just had to open his mouth because he's a big wordsmith. Because, because once he said all that, Luke Skywalker, he looks at his mechanical arm, and then looks at Vader's arm that he cut off, and he's like, oh shit, I'm becoming my father. And then at that moment, he turns around and tells him, no, I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. And then Palpatine, he's like, so be it, Jedi. Now, this is a part that scared me as a child the first time I saw it. The first time I saw it, I was like, Dad, I don't want this, is scary. At this point, we've seen the Force in many things, such as mind control, picking up things, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But we have never seen the Force to this degree, or at least let alone the dark side to this degree. Palpatine, he's like, if you will not turn to the dark side, then you will be destroyed. Force lightning starts coming out of Palpatine's hands, and then he's just cooking up Luke. He's really letting him have it. He really wants him to suffer. Palpatine, he's just all like, young fool, at the end, do you understand? Your powers are no match for the dark side. You will pay for your lack of vision. Luke is just like, Father, please! And then I just love the tone of the music. It's just queuing up, and then the conflict between Vader, it's starting to come up a little bit. And then Palpatine, he's finally like, now, young Skywalker, you will die. And then Luke, he's just crying. He's really about to die, and that's really scary right there. But again, I'm sorry. But this moment right here, this is my absolute favorite moment in the entire original trilogy. Is when the camera starts to pan up to Darth Vader, and then we see Darth Vader. He's looking at Luke Skywalker, and then he looks at the Emperor. He's going back and forth, and then the music just cues up, and then finally he just picks up the Emperor, and then he decides, you know what, I'm gonna just let gravity decide this. So he just picks him up and just throws him over that power generator, and the Emperor's like, ah, and then he falls down, and then it just explodes out of nowhere. Now, I just love that scene because at that point, it's like Vader, he is finally redeemed. He has become Anakin Skywalker again. That is my absolute favorite moment in this movie, and let alone the entire original trilogy. But it is also the one thing that Lucas changed in the special editions that, I'm sorry, this change right here, this was it. This change right here hurt my back. Now, granted, some of the other ones did too. Some of them didn't really. But I'm just saying, this was the change. This was the change that made me be like, no, I'm not buying this Blu-rays. I'm sorry, I just can't. Now, granted, a couple years later, I ended up buying the Blu-rays, but I digress. But as Vader, he's looking back and forth. He's like, no. Then it looks like the Palpatine. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no. Really, Lucas? Just had to do it, huh? You just had to take a good moment and just had to ruin it, did you? But the best part about that scene is just without saying no dialogue or facial expressions or anything, but from the tone and the music alone, we know what Vader is about to do, and you just sitting there rooting for him like,
No! What are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it!
So in any case, Darth Vader, he finally kills Palpatine as fulfilling the prophecy that Anakin really was the chosen one to kill, to bring balance to the Force. So he killed the Emperor, and that's where the prequels actually made sense. But as Darth Vader was getting ready to throw the Emperor down that power generator, some of the Force lightning got into Darth Vader, and it shortened everything on his suit and whatever. And before Luke and Vader, they get off the ship, he gets some FaceTime with him. Vader's like, Luke, help me take this mask off. But you'll die. Nothing can stop that now. Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes. But then he takes the mask off, and then we see this old, damaged man. He's all white and pale, and we see Anakin, and he's like, "Now go, my son. Leave me? No, you're coming with me. I can't leave you here. I got to save you. You already have, Luke. You were right. You were right about me. Tell your sister you were right." And then he falls back, and then Vader, aka Anakin, he's finally dead. And at that point, he's like, "Wow, like Vader, he's really dead." So anyway, so Luke, he finally gets off the Death Star with Vader in that ship, and then Lando and the Rebels, they finally blow up the Death Star, and boom, it's over. And then we get to Endor, and then Leia, she's starting to use the Force as well. She's starting to feel that Luke got off, because Han, he has a hope Luke wasn't on the thing that blew. And then Leia's just like, "No, he's not. I can feel it." And then Han's like, "You love him, don't you?" "Yes." "That's okay. When he comes back, I won't get in the way." And then Leia's just like, "No, it's not like that at all. He's my brother." Han, he's just like, "Wait, Luke is your brother?" But in any case, they kiss, and they're happy, and they finally celebrate. And then Luke gets Vader back down to Endor, and then he has that little ceremony funeral. He burns him, and then, yeah. So now with the two more endings, in which there's two more changes, and it's particularly during the ending. So now after that, we see that everyone gets to celebrate that the Empire is finally dead. In the original theatrical cut of the film, we get back to the Ewok tribe, and then they're singing "Yub Nub, Yup, yup, nub, 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 nub." Now, again, I did not know that existed until the '04 special editions, because all I knew was the changes that Lucas made, which was a change that alright, that makes sense, as we see all the other planets and see how they celebrate it. Like, we see Bespin, and everyone's happy there. We see Tatooine, everyone's happy there. We even see Naboo, everyone's happy there. And then we finally see Coruscant, everyone's happy there. And I just like that little, and if you look in the back, we see a little statue of this Palpatine figure, I think. We see a statue of Palpatine, it's falling over, and everyone is celebrating. And then we finally get to Endor, and the Rebels and everyone, they're celebrating with the Ewoks, and I like the music there. Then Luke, he is reunited with everyone, and then beforehand, we finally get to see the ghost spirits of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and then we see this other man, and then you're like, "Wait, who's that? Oh my God, that's Vader, otherwise known as Anakin." And then we see this old man who's like, "Okay, I see what you're doing." But then again, this is another change Lucas made, is he changes from the man that played Anakin Skywalker for 2 seconds in the movie to Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. Now, at first I didn't have no problem with it, but then as I grew up, I was like, I prefer the other guy. And Lucas's explanation for this was like, "Well, that's how it was the last time he died." And I'm like, "No, the last time we saw him was when he took the Emperor and threw him over that power generator. So otherwise he should be the old man." We're just saying, if that's the logic we're going for, then that's how it should be. But in any case, the old Jedi's, they're looking over Luke, and it's like, yeah, everything's gonna be okay now. And thus concludes the Star Wars trilogy, ending with Return of the Jedi. Now, I absolutely love Return of the Jedi. To me, this is how I rank all of them as my favorites. It's Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, and then the other two, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, they interchange from time to time, but those are my 2 least favorite. But I'd say Return of the Jedi, it was a pretty satisfying conclusion to the entire Star Wars saga about family, conflict, betrayal, redemption, and coming of age, and everything in between it. And it all paid off with this one movie, and we finally get to see Anakin Skywalker come back to the good side, truly illustrating either you die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Because he lived long enough to see himself become the villain, i.e. Darth Vader, but then he died a hero, i.e. Return of the Jedi, when he finally killed the Emperor. Having Return of the Jedi with the first 2 movies in the original trilogy, it makes a pretty good, solid 3-movie trilogy, and I absolutely love it. Like, this is the poster child of what a trilogy should be, and I absolutely love it, and it's what a conclusion should be. And without this, we wouldn't have gotten good conclusion movies like Return of the King, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, and inspired to make good trilogies like the Dark Knight trilogy and Toy Story 3. But I'm going off the rails for a little bit. But again, obviously, you can see I love Return of the Jedi. And of course, I'm going to give Return of the Jedi an A++. Whew, I finally got through all 6 movies. And now, I'm finally ready for The Force Awakens. And I can't wait! So yeah, that's my review of Return of the Jedi. So be on the lookout for my review of The Force Awakens. And I'm going to also do a spoiler review of The Force Awakens. And I'll probably end up seeing Force Awakens at least 3 more times, so that's how I'm excited for it. But that's it for the day. If you like what you see, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel. The links are in the description below. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Movie Pilot, and Periscope. Peace.